Well, hello there, and welcome to the first episode of my new podcast, Business Wise, the podcast that helps service-based entrepreneurs stand out in a crowded marketplace. I'm Nancy Fox, your host and founder of WYZE, a product development company helping solo and service firms scale up with productized recurring revenue services. Now, the format of this program is really going to be mostly interview based, and I've got lots and lots of wonderful service provider business owners to share their stories and their unique value propositions with you. I think it's really, we're in a really crowded marketplace today. So I think their stories are going to be really revealing and inspiring, and they are for me. But today I'm going to start off with a topic that I really actually wanted to launch the first episode talking about the primary topic, which is, how is your unique value proposition really unique? And secondarily, is your elevator speech a real snooze, or does it really do your business a service? So let's sort of I'm going to paint what I think is probably a pretty familiar scene for you. You're at a networking event and someone says, "What do you do?" And people are all around you and they're rattling off their titles. I'm a business coach, I'm a marketing consultant, I'm a fractional CFO, I'm a this, I'm a that. But these responses are like, they're so generic, they're so like wallpaper, they just blend into the background and they're instantly forgettable. And, of course, you hear so many of them that it's very hard to focus and really hear one that stands out, right? So here's the hard truth. Most value propositions aren't unique at all. They're not designed with that kind of thinking in mind. They're generic, they're forgettable. And worst of all, they don't give you the potential that clients really have. They don't give you a compelling reason to refer them to your colleague because you don't really understand what's really unique and different about them in the first place. So the real truth is that we have the way we've been learning to create these elevator speeches and value propositions is it's outdated. They're just sort of they're like dinosaurs. And that's why we really need to take another look at it. And that's what I want to talk about with you today. So today I want to share a framework that I've been thinking about this for a very, very long time. And I realized that our attention spans are so very short now. So if you're in a group of people and you're going around a room sharing your elevator speech, or if you're at a networking event or any kind of an event, and people say to you, "What do you do?" Their attention span is like, it used to be, they used to call it the 30-second elevator speech. Well, now it's more like 10 seconds. So people don't have the attention span to listen to a long drawn out elevator speech. And the framework that I want to share with you today is what I call the offer hook. And it's a powerful way to craft your value proposition in 20 words or less. That will make you stand out in any crowd. That will make people want to ask you for more information about you. And we're going to cover three critical elements: who you serve, what migraine headache problems you solve for your potential clients. And when I mean migraines, I mean these are not just little baby problems that they could, they're interested in fixing. These are problems that they really they must fix. And then how do you do it differently than all the other service providers out there that are in your space? So let's dive into each component. Part one, the who. Well, I really believe that there's huge power in niching down. So the biggest mistake that I see service providers make is trying to serve everyone. They'll say things like, "I work with anyone who. I can help any business owner. My services work for companies of all sizes or all industries." And here's why that's a problem. When you speak to everyone, you attract no one. It's sort of like you fade into the woodwork. And so let me share a real example. So Sarah was a productivity coach struggling to get clients. Her elevator pitch was, "Hey, I help busy professionals get more done." It sounds good, right? Except not really, because after I worked with her and she really niched down to, I help female attorneys and small practices automate their client intake process, her business transformed in months. So she really was able to identify exactly a much more specific population. And because they all shared the same challenging problem and they identified with what she was working on and for whom, all of a sudden she became a unique value to to just that population. And so her traction, her momentum skyrocketed. And that's because when a female attorney hears this, they think, finally, someone who understands my specific challenges. But here's another example. So Tom's a financial advisor and he's saying, I help people plan for retirement. Okay, that's true. And people do need that. They need to plan for retirement. But when he niched down to, I help divorced women over 50 rebuild their retirement security, that's a whole other value proposition. And now he's really, I don't mean to focus only on women, but it really just demonstrates that there are unique problems that the female population will have that the male population may not experience. So the riches truly are in the niches. But when I hear you asking, won't I be turning away a lot of potential business? I say, actually, I know this sounds very counterintuitive, but it is true. The opposite happens because when you specialize, you become magnetic to your ideal clients. You become very special in their eyes, and you get more referrals because people can readily and easily understand and remember what you do and who you do it for. So I'll give you one final example. I was in a networking meeting. It was a whole room full of a lot of lawyers, and there are many lawyers who do specialize in different things, but there was one attorney who really had a very unique value proposition, and he talked about, he really works with franchisors. And he said, I work with franchisors, getting them ready to update their documentation every single year. And that's very specific because franchisors have to re-up their documentation once a year. And that helped a lot of the people in the room understand not only who he worked with and what made him very special, but the kinds of solutions that he helps them with. Okay, so let's talk about part 2, which is the migraine headache problem. So the problems that you solve, I mean, all business owners have problems, that's for sure, but not just any problems. They have some that are very, very pressing and some that are, they're nice to solve, but they're not essential, and other problems that are absolutely must solves. And those are the ones that we really want to have in our elevator speeches. Those are the ones that really, in our unique value proposition, when we're targeting migraine headaches, in our presentation to people, that will distinguish you from all the other folks in your competitive field. These are the kinds of problems that keep your clients awake at night, that keep them really worried, and that make them reach out into the marketplace looking for that specific solution because they don't really know where to find the right people to help them. These are the issues that they are willing to pay premium prices to solve, and they want to solve them immediately. So let me give you a real world example. Jennifer was a business systems consultant, and she was helping businesses become more efficient. So that's really true because productivity is her field of specialty, but it's like totally forgettable because so many people say that. But we changed her focus and her messaging to, I help wedding photographers escape the 60-hour work weeks by automating their post-production workflow. Now, there's a really specific must-solve solution because if wedding photographers are working 60-hour weeks, they have no life. And eventually they're going to burn out. So the difference was that Jennifer really helped her clients. She helped people see what problems that were so pressing for her specific niche market. And that's when she was able to attract referrals much more easily because people really understood that she was working with wedding photographers, not just any photographer, but wedding photographers who are totally overworked. So here's how to identify these migraine headache problems. You want to be asking yourself, what does my ideal client complain about the most? What are the kinds of problems that they absolutely must fix or it's completely detrimental to their business? What are these problems that are keeping them anxious and up at night? And what are the problems they're trying to solve on their own that aren't working? What are the kinds of problems that they're reaching out to their network to ask for help with? Those are the kinds of migraine headaches that that'll make the difference when you include those migraine headaches in your unique value proposition statements. So let me share another transformation story. Michael was a marketing consultant for restaurants, and he was saying that he helped increase customer traffic. Great. That's terrific, right? But we changed his message to say, I help family-owned restaurants, which is a unique, very, very unique subsegment of restaurants, fill empty tables during weekday nights without relying on discount deals. See the difference? Weekdays are the bane of any restaurant's existence, especially family-owned ones where they don't have a chain of other restaurants. So his prospective clients immediately understood the value because he addressed their very most specific, most unnerving pain point. They have pretty much the despair of empty tables during the work week is pretty disastrous for any restaurant business. Okay, and this brings me to the third component of the offer hook, which is your unique methodology. And this is where many service providers really miss the mark. They either don't explain their approach at all, or they use industry jargon that means nothing to their prospects, right? So your how should be very unique to you, but it doesn't have to be revolutionary. It just needs to be very defined and explanatory. So maybe it's your background. If it's your process, I'm applauding you because a unique process will really make you stand out and really gives your potential clients a lot of confidence. Or maybe it's your perspective that's different. So let me give you some examples. Lisa is a business advisor, a strategist, and she tells people that up until now, she was telling people that she uses proven strategies for success. Very generic, right? So we transformed it to say, I combine MBA expertise with behavioral psychology to help service-based business owners scale without burning out. So the psychology aspect of this really gave her marketplace an understanding about how she approaches helping her clients and what makes that very unique and what makes it advantageous. And now her prospects really understand her unique approach and gives them a great deal of, preference for her and appreciation for her over all her other competition. And another example is that David is a web designer saying that he creates beautiful websites. Okay, great. Well, we all want to have a beautiful website, but we changed it to I design websites using neuroscience-backed principles to double conversion rates for B2B tech companies. So neuroscience was something that he employed automatically in his work because he was very fascinated with the topic, but he never said anything about it to his clients or his potential clients. So we brought it forward, and and also he was talking about how that neuroscience turns into definitive, tangible outcomes, doubling conversion rates for B2B tech companies. See how much more compelling his value proposition statement is when you have an offer hook like that. And it's done so in one short sentence. It takes 10 seconds to say it. So this is really the important thing to recognize, that most of the time people are giving you overblown elevator speeches. And probably if yours is more than one sentence long, it's too long. People are losing interest. They're not remembering it anyway, and they're bored. So it's really in your best interest to hone your elevator speech down to the offer hook model, 20 words or less, one short sentence, and use these three components. So when you put all these three elements together in the offer hook, remember, it's going to be 20 words or less. People are going to remember the most important factors in that. I help your specific target market, your niche market, to solve a very specific migraine headache problem through your unique approach. That's the formula. It's really, really simple. Now, I've given you a number of examples. Now, maybe you have one that you want to transform, and I would love to hear about them. So I want to make sure that I'm going to give you some ways to connect with me after this episode is over, so you can reach out to me either on my website or on my LinkedIn page. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm going to give you all of that in the show notes below. But I want to let you know that this is truly a very important exercise to go through. It'll make a whole world of difference. People will be so much more able to be a great referral partner to you, and you will feel a lot more confident that you're capturing the right people's interest and keeping their attention. And you'll know when it's working when they'll go, wow, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. How do you do that again? When they say things like that, you know you've done a good job in your offer hook, and you know that your unique value proposition is now truly unique. Now, let me address some of the concerns that I hear when I talk to people about this offer hook approach. But what happens, for example, people ask me, what happens if someone copies my value proposition? Well, here's the truth. They really can't, because your unique value proposition isn't just about the words. It's about you and your authentic combination and your experience and the way you express yourself and the energy that you present, your perspective, and especially your methodology. Or what if you're concerned that your market is too small? I want to tell you that sometimes the smallest niche markets are the most successful of all, because people really identify so deeply with what is specifically designed for them. So a narrow focus often leads to much bigger opportunities. I always say that less is often much more. And when you're seen as the specialist for that very specific niche market, you're going to become the obvious choice, and you're going to be the preferred advisor to that niche, and you can command premium prices. So let's make this really practical. I want you to pause the episode and write some things down. I want you to write down who you're truly passionate about serving. Be very, very specific. Get as niche-y as you possibly can. What specific problems are you exceptionally good at solving? And what is your niche market complaining about most often? What are the problems they absolutely must solve? And how does your background, your experience, your know-how, and your specific approach create a unique solution for this market? So craft your 20-word offer hook. Remember, clarity beats creativity. Don't be jargony, be really simple, be very specific, be very bold, and most importantly, be authentic. All right, everybody, and that is it for today's episode. We're going to have a lot more in upcoming episodes. I'm really eager to be presenting some fabulous and some very wonderfully experienced and smart service business owners to share their unique value propositions with you. It always helps to hear other people's stories and how they evolved their businesses, how they learned, how they overcame their mistakes, and how they evolved into the successful business people that they are today. I'm Nancy Fox. I'm CEO of WYZE, and I'll see you in the next episode.